Good morning, and welcome to the Cyber Smart Morning News Update. With the always evolving world of cyber threats and defense, you need a source you can trust. FBI retired Special Agent Darren Mott guides you through today's intricate cyber landscape and brings you the latest headlines and insights and what it means to you. Let's dive into today's cyber news.
Good morning, friends. It is Monday, January 20th, 2025. This is the Cyber Smart Morning News Update. I'm your host, retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Darren Mott. Today is the inauguration of Donald Trump, and so it's also Martin Luther King's birthday here in the United States, so it's a federal holiday in many different ways. But as always, the cyber news does not come to a close, so I am taking obviously this opportunity to present you with a couple of cyber news stories just for your awareness, for those wanting to keep up on the cyber news of the day. We'll start off with TikTok in a minute, but one thing I do want to warn you on, I had bicep tendon repair surgery on Thursday, so I'm sitting here with my arm in a cast trying to do my mouse with my left hand and do all that stuff, so this may be a little of a jittery type of podcast, and you may be used to the more sleek production that I usually give, but and I'm also on pain medication, so if I'm slurring my words or if I lose track of what I'm talking about, that's going to be my excuse, and I'm going to go with it. As always, if you have thoughts, comments, questions on the podcast at any time, please feel free to reach out and email me, Darren@thecyberguy.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. I usually do that at the end, but figured I'd do it at the beginning here. But let's get right into the TikTok thing, because those of you who've listened to me for any length of time know I am no fan of TikTok, and today's actions have not gotten me off of any of that. So, and what I mean by that is, as you know, the Congress and the Biden administration signed legislation to ban TikTok in the United States for national security concerns. And I have voiced what those are many times. Now, there's plenty of people in the world that think that my particular take is stupid, that I'm a boomer. I'm not a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer, but whatever. That I'm old, I don't understand, and I'm just a fool for not understanding the value that TikTok provides. And I have the opposite effect, that they don't understand the threat that TikTok provides. And I've seen all sorts of posts online about how, banning TikTok is stupid and all this other stuff. But plenty of people who agree on my side that this is probably a good way to go. And what did the TikTok users do once they found out TikTok was potentially going to go away? They went to another Chinese application called Red Note to do similar things. So geniuses all around, I must say, and I'm not going to get into the Red Note thing, because again, if you are moving from one Chinese application to another, you're just a fool and idiot and not paying attention to the world as it is. And that's your choice. That's the choice you tend to make. But sadly, Donald Trump, the incoming president, has decided he may revive TikTok after the inauguration, to the point so much so that today, when I'm recording this on Sunday, right? For those who don't know, I record this the day before I publish it out, but so big deal, who cares? But he said that he would sign an executive order to give the 90-day extension to review the whole TikTok divestiture thing. So TikTok was coming back online on Sunday. People very excited about that. But my first article here is from cybernews.com. It's quoting a Reuters article. President-elect Donald Trump said he would revive TikTok access in the U.S. by executive order after he is sworn in on Monday, but said he wants the popular social media site to be at least half owned by U.S. investors. So TikTok stopped working for its 170 million American users late on Saturday before a law shutting it down on national security grounds took effect on Sunday. Basically, it took effect at midnight Beijing time, which would be the 19th, which is when it was required to stop. Okay. U.S. officials had warned that under Chinese parent company ByteDance, there was a risk of America's data being misused. It is not a risk. It is happening. They are misusing it. They've admitted it so much. They have admitted it. But no one seems to want to pay attention to that. But okay. Trump said he would extend the period of time before the law's prohibition take effect so that we can make a deal to protect our national security. I would like the U.S. to have a 50% ownership position in a joint venture. By doing this, we save TikTok, keep it in good hands, and allow it to stay up, he wrote on Truth Social. Okay, that's the extent of the article. Now, will it do that? Who freaking knows? As long as China has ownership in this, we can continue to believe, or we should believe, that the security concerns that existed before exist now. For those of you who say, well, Meta does the same thing. Meta is as bad as TikTok. Here is the issue, right? If you are looking at social media companies that can abuse your privacy and your information that you allow them to have because The use agreements are very long. We all accept whatever it is that they're giving, and you don't care what the use agreements are. If they want to use your data for whatever, you're all good with that. And it happens not just with TikTok, but with ByteDance. With Meta, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, right? Fair enough. But the difference here is, if I've said this many times, if you've listened to this at any length, you know what I'm going to say. If Facebook and Instagram misuse your data in some way that is detrimental to you, you have legal abilities to sue them for that. Now, it may cost you money to do that, but you have a legal ramification to fix the problem. You do not have that with a company that's owned in China. You just don't. They're going to abuse it. And my rationale for disliking TikTok is well versed. You can go back and see it many different times. But that is the big difference. And if you, let's be, and I've said this too, if you're just doing dance videos or promoting your business on TikTok, your risk is pretty low. Let's be honest. But there are greater risks beyond just your own personal use of the app that go beyond just you as an individual, but has a national security implication problem. And the fact we refuse to look at that it's the nature of the world in which we live in. People are going to believe what they're going to believe, and you're not going to talk them off that. All right. That's the extent of my TikTok count for today, but that's going to probably be 2/3 of or at least 40% of this episode, so my apologies on that. All right, let's get to more news. TheRegister.com, Thomas Claiborne, OpenAI's ChatGPT crawler can be tricked into DDoSing sites, answering your queries. Well, that's certainly not good. OpenAI's ChatGPT crawler appears to be willing to initiate distributed denial of service attacks on arbitrary websites, a reported vulnerability the tech giant has yet to acknowledge. In a write-up shared this month by Microsoft's GitHub, Benjamin Flesch, a security researcher in Germany, explains how a single HTTP request to the ChatGPT API can be used to flood targeted websites with network requests from the ChatGPT crawler, specifically ChatGPT-user. This flood of connections may or may not be enough to knock off any given site, practically speaking, though it's still arguably a danger and a bit of an oversight by OpenAI. It can be used to amplify a simple API request into 20 to 5,000 or more requests to a chosen victim's website every second over and over again. So certainly a flaw within ChatGPT that they'll need to fix. Now, the problem here is, since this now is realized to be a problem, bad guys are going to very quickly jump on this and create issues. So hopefully OpenAI figures out a way to fix this vulnerability sooner rather than later. But maybe this is the only time we talk about this, and maybe not. We'll see. But again, an interesting aspect. But again, it's kind of where technology goes. There are always going to be vulnerabilities that people just determine things to be done that go outside of the normal operation of that application, which is why companies need to find help to deal with their cybersecurity posture. But that's more of a discussion for another day. BleepingComputer.com, Bill Tolis. Star Blizzard hackers abuse WhatsApp to target high-value diplomats. All right, so who is Star Blizzard? They're a Russian hacking group, but Russian nation-state actor Star Blizzard has been running a new spear phishing campaign to compromise WhatsApp accounts of targets in government, diplomacy, defense policy, international relations, and Ukraine aid organizations. According to a Microsoft Threat Intelligence report, the campaign was observed in mid-November 2024, represents a tactical shift for Star Blizzard as a response to the recent exposure of the threat actor's tactics, techniques, and procedures. Star Blizzard starts the attack by impersonating a U.S. government official in an email message to the target. The lure is an invitation to join a WhatsApp group related to non-governmental initiatives supporting the Ukraine. The email contains a purposely broken QR code in an attempt to force a reply from the recipient requesting an alternative link. If the victim responds, Star Blizzard sends another email with a t.ly short link, which directs them to a fake web page that mimics a legitimate WhatsApp invitation page with a new QR code. I'm not going to say this is a genius attack. This is just using people's ability to fall for stuff for this to work, because they're not doing anything complicated here. They're not using advanced code. They're using social engineering and people's perception that they're looking to do the right thing to get them to do things against their interest. Doing a shortened link makes it hard for you to determine if the link is real, because when you hover your mouse over it, you won't see that. You'll just see the short link and figure this must be legitimate. It looks like a legitimate WhatsApp page, and then the bad things happen. So, important to note this is since this is proven to have worked, you can expect that other hacker groups will use similar type attacks in the future. So we will see a progression of attempts to do similar things down the line. So again, another exploitation attempt, another tactic to be aware of. Which is why, gathering threat intelligence from a variety of sources like this podcast and like other podcasts that do a much longer and better job than I, to pay attention to what's going on in cybersecurity world as far as what the bad guys are doing. Because as I like to say, if we can understand the threats targeting us, we can assess our risk, proceed wisely. Maybe I need to change that a little bit, but the point is there. Know what's coming at you so you can prevent it from happening. All right. From Wired.com, hackers likely stole FBI call logs from AT&T that could compromise informants. I actually was interviewed for a Bloom article similar to this particular story, but I'm quoting this one because I just happen to have it up. This is Lily Hay Newman reporting. But the United States telecom giant AT&T disclosed a breach in July involving call and text messaging logs from 6 months in 2022 of nearly all of its more than 100 million customers. In addition to exposing personal communication details for a slew of individual Americans, though, the FBI has been on alert that its agents' call and text records could also have been included in the breach. And the problem that creates here is because if agents were using AT&T accounts to communicate with confidential human sources, these are individuals that are assisting with criminal, national security, terrorism, cyber cases, and the agents have to have the ability to communicate with their sources, and they come up with ways to do that. And if they're simply using text messages and phone messages, and AT&T was the provider on both ends of the conversation, then it's possible for other bad guys or nation state actors to be able to tie that information to actual people, because the FBI takes the protection of sources very seriously. And so the impact of source information becoming known is a problem for both the source, the case, and things like and national security in general, depending on the case type. So this is an important story in the sense that the problem that could be created for them. We don't have any insight that this actually happened. It's just a potential risk. Ideally, what the Bureau will do when they see this is they'll change the methods with which agents communicate with sources to kind of protect that information, and hopefully use more encrypted type communication methodologies and things like that. So there's a risk here. There's no distinct indication that anything bad actually happened. It's simply just a risk to be aware of. So that's you'll see this article in many different areas, from Bloomberg to Wired to wherever. And just understand that certainly a recognized potential problem doesn't mean that a problem actually occurred, but certainly from a nation state perspective, from the Russia-China perspective, they would love to know who the human sources are that may be acting in concert with the FBI against the interests of those countries. That's why this is certainly problematic and a potential risk. But the Bureau will adjust, and it's not just the Bureau, right? There's other federal agencies that do the same thing. The FBI, for a news article, the FBI makes it more, hey, I got to read what that says. But certainly Customs and Border Patrol, DHS, their HSI investigative group, any federal law enforcement agency, even local law enforcement agencies that deal with confidential human sources have a problem with this particular data breach. It's not just the FBI. It's certainly larger than that. But hopefully this is a good learning experience to come up with new ways to communicate with sources that secure those communication mechanisms much better. Lastly, SCWorld.com. This is Steve Zurier reporting sneaky log phishing kit slipped by Microsoft 365 accounts. A new adversary in the middle phishing kit targeting Microsoft 365 accounts has the ability to intercept both user credentials and two-factor authentication. That's not good. Ultimately bypassing anti-phishing defenses such as email and secure web gateways. In a January 16th blog post, Sequoia researchers said the phishing pages have been circulating since at least October 2024, have been sold as a phishing as a service kit by the cybercrime service Sneaky Log, which operates through a fully featured bot on Telegram. There's a lot of sense in there. So there's more to this. Kind of talks about what it is. How do you mitigate it? It's hard to say. Really, it's going to be just recognizing that the email you get that may cause this to occur is a problem, and you're not going to want to attack it. But just understand that obviously anything that has the ability to compromise two-factor authentication is a big thing. It did said that this one is sneaky for a couple of reasons. It's specifically crafted. The links in the phishing emails are crafted to pass the victim's email address to a login page and enabling it to autofill in the email field. That's the big thing. There's obfuscation, so you don't know where it goes to, and there's convincing presentation, which is the key to any phishing type attack is it's got to be convincing. If you don't believe it is what it is, you're not going to really fall for it. So that's why that kind of happens. So with that, I'm going to let you go for the rest of your day. It's going to take me a little while to put this podcast together, doing it one-handed, but I'll do the best I can. As always, feel free to reach out, contact me, let me know if you have thoughts, comments, questions on the podcast. If you know of any news that would be important, just feel free to email that to me as well, Darren@thecyberguy.com, or find me on LinkedIn. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll see you again on Wednesday.